Well, welcome back, all you brewers, distillers, hobbyists. We love having you. Please comment below if you get an opportunity, and share us with your friends and subscribe. Look, we're going to talk about pH today. It's a very, very important topic. But before we get to that, I just want to introduce you to this item here that I just received recently. Newair has a 126 can beverage fridge. It's the AB1200X model if you're interested. And I'll put that in the section below so you can get in touch with them and get one. But let me tell you, this thing is amazing. You can cool down to 34 degrees. It's really, really quiet. It's got a digital readout. My goodness, it's got all the bells and whistles that you want, and it fits just about anywhere. So for any of that decor that you have, it's really, really an attractive piece for your home or for your office. Now, on to the pH meter. What we're going to do is I'm going to discuss first what pH is, what the measurement scale is, because this is that elusive topic that a lot of people just don't understand. Question, is it really, really important? Well, it's not critical. That's the point, is that pH is not critical, but if you're looking for that one extra step in your process that will help you create a very quality product, you want to chomp at that at every bit that you possibly can. So of course we work with temperature, we work with quality of ingredients, we work with yeast, we work with all of these different elements that go into making, let's say for instance, a beer, a wine, or a mash for a whiskey. And pH is an important aspect. It's not critical, but it's an important aspect. So we're going to cover that, and then that way when you're done with this, and it will be short, when you're done with this, you'll be an expert, or close to it at least, on pH and what it really is. So give me a chance to pull the board out. We'll do a little bit of that, and then we're going to do a calibration of this pH meter. Cost me about 25 bucks. We'll be right back. Now let's get started first and explain what pH is. There are a lot of questions, and again, this is just one element in the brewing process, and it can be very important. So, and what it really has an effect on is first of all, the health of your yeast, and then of course what you can extract from grain. So, the scale itself, we've done one of these before, but I figured it's a good time to do it again. The scale goes from 0 to 14. And that's your pH scale. Now, of course, there are some extremes in chemistry that are below 0 and above 14, but we're not going to concern ourselves with that. And 7 being neutral. Now, so 7 being the neutral point, anything below 7 is, of course, acidic, acid. And anything above 7 is considered a base, or what we would call alkaline. What's really interesting here, though, is I'm going to put 2 data points on here that are going to be helpful for you, because you've got lemon juice that comes in at a pH of 2, and you also have baking soda, and that comes in at 9.5. So those are 2 data points that just keep those in mind. Now you've got, from the extreme ends, okay, you've got drain cleaner on this end, which is 14, and then you've got battery acid at 0. So that's the scale we're working with. Now each one of these, of course, is broken down into 10 increments. So you've got a 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, so on and so forth. Now the sweet spots for brewing. All right, the sweet spot, especially for, let's say for instance, a mash, is right here at 5.2. 5.2. Another sweet spot for meads, wines, ciders is somewhere down around 3.4. Okay? That's just a good sweet spot for you. And of course, each and every one is just a little bit different. Anything below a 7 is good for beers. Some are a little bit lower, but it all has to do with what you're trying to extract and how you're trying to extract it and the health of your yeast. Now, grain will automatically drop the pH because it does have some resident acids available. So when do you want to check? You want to check the water first, and then you want to check the result of what you've added to it, so you make sure you got the proper pH. So what we're going to do real quick is we're just going to show you briefly two different ways of how to check that. And the reason why my answer is when someone asks, George, should I be using distilled water? And the answer is, you can, of course, yeah, but probably not, because where do you think distilled water ends up? It's going to end up somewhere around the neutral area, because we use distilled water to calibrate our pH meter and use our buffer solution. I'll show you that. Now, one method for testing pH are precision test strips. And you can purchase these, you know, at Amazon. And the ones I got here, the particular ones I have here, they'll test between 2.8 and 4.4. So what do you think they're probably good for? They're probably more in the mead, wine, cider type of mixtures. It's probably what they're designed for. And they're simple. You just drop them in 15 seconds, pull it out, and then, of course, you match it to the color code on the side. Now, if you want to be just a little bit more precise, Jealous makes a pH meter that is really, really unique because you open it up, you turn it on, and you'll see that it's, you know, it'll give you a readout. And this one's going to read all over the scale right now as it's just bouncing around. But what comes with that is, since this is so sensitive, because what happens is it's going to compare an ionization activity that's going on between these two probes. And this is the length that you dip it in. You dip it in the water up until here. It's got just a small ridge. And you hold it there until it finishes bouncing around. And it'll give you a precise reading. It comes with this little screwdriver. And what this screwdriver is for is on the back you'll see this real small screw. And you'll use that to calibrate. You calibrate it when you first get it, and then you'll calibrate it every once in a while. You know, if it's been stored for quite a while, you'd want to calibrate it. And the way you do that, it comes with a buffer solution, and you take 250 milliliters of distilled water, and you put it in these 3 jars. So you'll see here, you've got, and it's at 25 degrees Celsius, and so we've got a pH of 4, a pH of 6.86, and a pH of 9.18. Now, what that buffer solution does, when you put it in distilled water, which is just about neutral, therefore, that's why we always say, if you use distilled water, you're going to have to add something to it, because everything's been removed. It's just clear, flat water that's neutral. And then you just dip your pH meter, turn it on, and then dip your pH meter in and hold it there. And if it doesn't read what is on the label, well, you use your screwdriver and you make your fine adjustment. And then you move to the next one. Shake it off, but be careful. And then you move to the next one. Shake it around a little bit, because if you get an air bubble in between here, it'll give you a false reading. And you hold that in the water, you know, what we call now our buffer solution, and you'll get that reading. And if that doesn't match 6.86 on the jar, well, then you adjust that until you get a fine tune, and then you go down to the 4.00 pH. And so you'll get all 3 of these, you'll do, and then you go back and check them again to make sure, see if you have to do any fine tuning. But that way you get a really precise pH reading. Now, you can get, these meters can run into the hundreds and hundreds of dollars, or you can, for our purposes, really, $25 is not a bad deal. So until next time, please share us with your friends. Stay in touch, comment below. We answer all comments, or we'll reply to any questions. And as always, you know, happy distilling.